Hello. Hi, zombie. Long time no see. Good to have you here. Are you gonna stay for the reading today? We're on chapter 5 of Mockingjay. Dun dun dun. Okay, let's that down. Good. All right. Yes. Yeah, this is the next book. Yeah, so we read Hunger Games, watched the movie, read Catching Fire, watched the movie. Now we're reading Mockingjay. And there's two Mockingjay movies. There's part 1 and part 2. So I still haven't decided if we're going to do like both movies in one sitting. Or if we'll do like one movie one day, one movie the next day. I guess I should like do a pull or something. Yeah, it's really long, I guess. Huge day for Spider-Man fans. Why is that, Razanat? Did the movie just come out or something? Isn't there a movie in theaters or something? I don't know. I couldn't even tell you the last Spider-Man movie I watched. There's so many of them. No! A guy dressed up as Spider-Man beat the hell out of a white supremacist from Minneapolis. What? Drop the video? Wait, can I even show that? I don't know if I can show that on stream. You should drop it in the Discord. I'd be fine with that being in my Discord. Mouse? Hello? I think you're already in it. But if there's anybody watching who's not, for some reason, what are you doing? Are you Spider-Man? Yeah, that's crazy. Pretty cool though. Yeah, and then after Mockingjay, there's 2 prequel books. There's one about Haymitch and there's one about Snow when they were younger. And I can't remember which is which, but I have both of them because I got them for my birthday. So after this and us watching Mockingjay, we'll be doing the prequels too. And then after that, I'm not sure. I started listening to Animal Farm. Oh, thank you, Muddlebud. Hi, G Swangin. Thank you. I started listening to the Animal Farm audiobook, but I was listening to it like when I was going to bed, so I kept falling asleep. So we might do that one after this series, but that's a long ways away. Because this one we're going to be finishing at the end of September. What's happening in the Discord? Oh, are you dropping it in there? My mouse has been so sassy lately. Thank you. No, do not switch it. Oh my gosh. Media? Nice. Thank you for sharing that. You can immediately see why Jake got his ass kicked. Oh, is it that one guy? Hold up. Jake Lang, yeah. Excuse me, please let me use Discord. What is happening? Oh, that's loud, sorry. That's beautiful. Hi, Shiny. That's absolutely beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I don't know if I could share that on stream, but it's going well. Raznak just shared in the Discord a video of Spider-Man beating the shit out of Jake Lang, who's a white supremacist. Good Spider-Man. We were talking about how Mockingjay's 2 movies, so I don't know if once we're done with Mockingjay, I don't know if we're gonna watch like both. Do you mind if I say like put here at request of Mimi? Oh yeah, yeah, you can put that. Yeah, it's okay. And no, I do not currently. But we're talking about how Mockingjay is 2 movies, so I don't know if we'll watch them in one sitting or if we should split that into 2 sittings because it's 2 movies. I don't know how many people would want to stick around for that. Good double feature. And then I was saying how we're gonna finish this at the end of September. And I started listening to the audiobook of Animal Farm because I'd never read that. Double the traffic cones? What do you mean? Oh, I hope not. Okay, I hope not. Um, it had to have been the DVD, right? That was crazy. Oh my gosh. Okay. That was a lot. It was a thrifted book or movie, so hopefully it was that and not the DVD player. Um, before we get started reading, also, I would like to say made these pumpkin cookies yesterday. Um, they're absolutely delicious. I don't care. They're good. It's from stuff I got from the food bank. So, yeah, they're so squishy. And at first I was like, "Ooh, I might have made those like the cookie blobs too big." But no, the cookies were like this big. Big cookies. Yeah. It's so funny. While making the batter, I tasted it and was like, this tastes like baby food. But cooked, it tastes really good. Where's my water at? We need to do a recap. And basically, yeah, it's a little cakey, yeah. Good though. On the last episode of Mockingjay, they are in District 13. Katniss gets permission to visit District 12 to see how destroyed it is. And it's literally in ashes. She accidentally, like, at first she thinks she's kicked a rock, and then she realizes it's a skull, and it just really, like, sets in her what's happening. Um, she grabs her sister's cat, brings it to District 13, and then she finds her prep team is being tortured down in the like depths of District 13. So in my mind I'm like, okay, how different is District 13 than the capital if they're like torturing people? And they were like, well, they stole bread. Like that's why this is happening to them because they stole bread, but it's like this seems a bit excessive. Um and she also finds out that Peeta is in the capital and he's asking for a ceasefire. This is sounding very familiar to some things, isn't it, in real life? But Katniss understands that a ceasefire would mean that nothing changes, things just go back to how they were. So she's like, there can't be a ceasefire. So she goes to the president of District 13 and says that she will be the Mockingjay, which is basically like they want her to be the leader of the revolution. Um, and she has some like bartering. She's like, I want Peeta to be safe if I'm to be the Mockingjay. I want people who are the victors who are captured and are in the capital, I want them to be safe. But then the president, I'll read the last little bit. So the president's like, yeah, whatever. So she wants, Katniss wants this announced publicly, right? So the president announces it publicly that she's going to be the Mockingjay and that these people are going to be, like, pardoned, basically. And then here's the last bit of the last chapter. The president allows a few moments of unrest and then continues in her brisk fashion. Only now the words coming out of her mouth are news to me. But in return for this unprecedented request, Soldier Everdeen has promised to devote herself to our cause. It follows that any deviance from her mission, in either motive or deed, will be viewed as a break in this agreement. The immunity would be terminated and the fate of the 4 victors determined by the law of District 13, as would her own. Thank you. In other words, I step out of line and we're all dead. So she is going to be the leader of the revolution, but like under the thumb of the president of the 13th district. The district that supposedly was gone, but it is not. They just went underground. Dun dun dun. So now we're going to read chapter 5 through 8 because I've decided that I'm going to read 4 chapters every time. Why not? I gotta set this down for a second. Okay. Chapter 5 of Mockingjay. Another force to contend with. Another power player who has decided to use me as a piece in her games, although things never seem to go according to plan. First, there were the game makers, making me their star and then scrambling to recover from that handful of poisonous berries. Then, President Snow, trying to use me to put out the flames of the rebellion, only to have my every move become inflammatory. Next, the rebels ensnaring me in the metal claw that lifted me from the arena, designating me to be their Mockingjay, and then having to recover from the shock that I might not want the wings. And now Coin, with her fistful of precious nukes and her well-oiled machine of a district, finding it's even harder to groom a Mockingjay than to catch one. But she has been the quickest to determine that I have an agenda of my own, and am therefore not to be trusted. She has been the first to publicly brand me as a threat. Thank you, Muddlebud. I run my fingers through the thick layers of bubbles in my tub. Cleaning me up is just a preliminary step to determining my new look. With my acid-damaged hair, sunburned skin, and ugly scars, the prep team has to make me pretty and then damage, burn, and scar me in a more attractive way. Remake her to Beauty Base 0, Fulvia orders first thing in the morning. We'll work from there. Beauty Base 0 turns out to be what a person would look like if they stepped out of bed looking flawless but natural. It means my nails are perfectly shaped but not polished, my hair soft and shiny but not styled, my skin smooth and clear but not painted. Wax the body hair and erase the dark circles, but don't make any noticeable enhancements. I suppose Cinna gave the same instructions the first day I arrived as a tribute in the capital. Only that was different, since I was a contestant. As a rebel, I thought I'd get to look more like myself, but it seems a televised rebel has her own standards to live up to. After I rinsed the lather from my body, I turned to find Octavia waiting with a towel. She is so altered from the woman I knew in the capital, stripped of the gaudy clothing, the heavy makeup, the dyes and jewelry and knickknacks she adorned her hair with. I remember how one day she showed up with bright pink tresses studded with blinking colored lights shaped like mice. She told me she had several mice at home as pets. The thought repulsed me at the time, since we consider mice vermin unless cooked. But perhaps Octavia liked them because they were small, soft, and squeaky, like her. As she pats me dry, I try to become acquainted with the District 13 Octavia. Her real hair turns out to be a nice auburn. Her face is ordinary, but has an undeniable sweetness. She's younger than I thought. Maybe early 20s. Devoid of the 3-inch decorative nails, her fingers appear almost stubby. Oh!
Good morning, Charlie!
Oh! Thank you! Yay! Thank you, Vaughn. The tattoo on my neck is of like a moth that is body mix. It was just a flash piece that I got. Mr. Dabtastic, thanks for being here. Alright. Oh! No, I didn't mean to do that. There we go. I'm gonna take this moment to take a drink of water. I try to become acquainted with the District 13 Octavia. Her real hair turns out to be a nice auburn. Her face is ordinary, but has an undeniable sweetness. She's younger than I thought. Maybe early 20s. Devoid of the 3-inch decorative nails, her fingers appear almost stubby, and they can't stop trembling. I want to tell her it's okay, that I'll see that Koi never hurts her again, but the multicolored bruises flowering under her green skin only remind me how impotent I am. Flavius, too, appears washed out with this purple lipstick and bright clothes. He's managed to get his orange ringlets back in some sort of order, though. It's Venia who's the least changed. Her aqua hair lies flat instead of in spikes, and you can see the roots growing in gray. However, the tattoos were always her most striking characteristic, and they're as golden and shocking as ever. She comes and takes the towel from Octavia's hands. Katniss is not going to hurt us, she says quietly, but firmly, to Octavia. Katniss did not even know we were here. Things will be better now. Octavia gives a slight nod, but doesn't dare look me in the eye. It's no simple job getting me back to Beauty Base Zero. Even with the elaborate arsenal of products, tools, and gadgets Plutarch had the foresight to bring from the capital. My preps do pretty well until they try to address the spot on my arm where Johanna dug out the tracker. None of the medical team was focusing on looks when they patch up the gaping hole. Now I have a lumpy, jagged scar that ripples out over a space the size of an apple. Usually my sleeve covers it, but the way Cinna's Mockingjay costume is designed, the sleeves stop just above the elbow. It's such a concern that Fulvia and Plutarch are called in to discuss it. I swear the sight of it triggers Fulvia's gag reflex. For someone who works with a game maker, she's awfully sensitive. But I guess she's used to seeing unpleasant things only on a screen. Everyone knows I have a scar here, I say sullenly. Knowing it and seeing it are two different things, says Fulvia. It's positively repulsive. Plutarch and I will think of something during lunch. It'll be fine, says Plutarch with a dismissive wave of his hand. Maybe an armband or something. Disgusted, I get dressed so I can head to the dining hall. My prep team huddles in a little group by the door. Are they bringing your food here? I ask. No, says Venia. We're supposed to go to the dining hall. I sigh inwardly as I imagine walking into the dining hall trailed by these three. But people always stare at me anyway. This will be more of the same. I'll show you where it is, I say. Come on. The covert glances and quiet murmurs I usually evoke are nothing compared to the reaction brought on by the sight of my bizarre-looking prep team. The gaping mouths, the finger-pointing, the exclamations. Just ignore them, I tell my prep team. Eyes downcast, with mechanical movements, they follow me through the line, accepting bowls of grayish fish and okra stew and cups of water. We take seats at my table beside a group from the seam. They show a little more restraint than the people from 13 do, although it may just be from embarrassment. Levy, who was my neighbor back in 12, gives me a cautious hello to the preps, and Gail's mother, Hazel, who must know about their imprisonment, holds up a spoonful of the stew. Don't worry, she says. Tastes better than it looks. But it's Posey, Gail's 5-year-old sister, who helps the most. She scoots along the bench to Octavia and touches her skin with a tentative finger. You're green. Are you sick? It's a fashion thing, Posey, like wearing lipstick, I say. It's meant to be pretty, whispers Octavia, and I can see the tears threatening to spill over her lashes. Posey considers this and says matter-of-factly, I think you'd be pretty in any color. The tiniest of smiles forms on Octavia's lips. Thank you. If you really want to impress Posey, you'll have to dye yourself bright pink, says Gail, thumping his tray down beside me. That's her favorite color. Posey giggles and slides back down to her mother. Gail nods at Flavius's bowl. I wouldn't let that get cold. It doesn't improve the consistency. Everyone gets down to eating. The stew doesn't taste bad, but there's a certain sliminess that's hard to get around. Like, you have to swallow every bite 3 times before it really goes down. Gail, who's not usually much of a talker during meals, makes an effort to keep the conversation going, asking about the makeover. I know it's his attempt at soothing things over. We argued last night after he suggested I'd left the coin no choice but to encounter my demand for the victor's safety with one of her own. Katniss, she's running this district. She can't do it if it seems like she's caving into your will. You mean she can't stand any dissent, even if it's fair? I'd countered. I mean, you put her in a bad position, making her give Peeta and the others immunity when we don't even know what sort of damage they might cause, Gail had said. What's the barf emoji for, Sentient? The fish stew. Yeah, sounds really gross. So, I should have just gone with the program and let the other tributes take their chances? Not that it matters, because that's what we're all doing anyway. That's when I'd slammed the door in his face. I hadn't sat with him at breakfast, and when Plutarch had sent him down to training this morning, I'd let him go without a word. I know he only spoke out of concern for me, but I really need him to be on my side, not coins. How can he not know that? After lunch, Gail and I are scheduled to go down to Special Defense to meet Beetee. As we ride the elevator, Gail finally says, You're still angry. And you're still not sorry, I reply. I still stand by what I said. Do you want me to lie about it? He asks. No. I want you to rethink it and come up with the right opinion, I tell him. But this just makes him laugh. I have to let it go. There's no point in trying to dictate what Gail thinks. Which, if I'm honest, is one reason why I trust him. The special defense level is situated almost as far down as the dungeons were, where we found the prep team. It's a beehive of rooms full of computers, labs, research equipment, and testing ranges. When we ask for Beetee, we're directed through the maze until we reach an enormous plate glass window. Inside is the first beautiful thing I've seen in the District 13 compound. A replication of a meadow, filled with real trees and flowering plants, and alive with hummingbirds. Beatty sits motionless in a wheelchair at the center of the meadow, watching a spring green bird hover in midair as it sips nectar from a large orange blossom. His eyes follow the bird as it darts away, and he catches sight of us. He gives a friendly wave for us to join him inside. The air's cool and breathable, not humid and muggy as I'd expected. From all sides comes the whir of tiny wings, which I used to confuse with the sound of insects in our woods at home. I have to wonder what sort of fluke allowed such a pleasant place to be built here. Beatty still has the pallor of someone in convalescence, but behind those ill-fitting glasses, his eyes are alight with excitement. Aren't they magnificent? 13 has been studying their aerodynamics here for years. Forward and backward flight, and speeds up to 60 miles per hour. If only I could build you wings like these, Katniss. Doubt I could manage them, Beatty. I laugh. Here, 1 second. Gone the next. Can you bring a hummingbird down with an arrow? He asks. I've never tried. Not much meat on them, I answer. No, and you're not one to kill for sport, he says. I bet they'd be hard to shoot, though. You could snare them, maybe, Gale says. His face takes on that distant look it wears when he's working something out. Take a net with a very fine mesh. Enclose an area and leave a mouth of a couple square feet. Bait the inside with nectar flowers. While they're feeding, snap the mouth shut. They'd fly away from the noise, but only encounter the far side of the net. Would that work? Asks Beatty. I don't know, just an idea, says Gale. They might outsmart it. They might, but you're playing on their natural instincts to flee danger. Thinking like your prey. That's where you find their vulnerabilities, says Beatty. I remember something I don't like to think about. In preparation for the quell, I saw a tape where Beatty, who was still a boy, connected 2 wires that electrocuted a pack of kids who were hunting him. The convulsing bodies, the grotesque expressions. Beatty, in the moments that led up to his victory in those long-ago Hunger Games, watched the others die. Not his fault, only in self-defense. We were all acting out of self-defense. Suddenly, I want to leave the hummingbird room before somebody starts setting up a snare. Beatty, Plutarch said you had something for me? Right. I do. Your new bow. He presses a hand control on the arm of the right chair and wheels out of the room. As we follow him through the twists and turns of special defense, he explains about the chair. I can walk a little now. It's just that I tire so quickly. It's easier for me to get around this way. How's Finnick doing? He's having concentration problems, I answer. I don't want to say he had a complete mental breakdown. Concentration problems, eh? Beatty smiles grimly. If you knew what Finnick's been through the last few years, you'd know how remarkable it is he's still with us at all. Tell him, I've been working on a new trident for him, though. Will you? Something to distract him a little. Distraction seems to be the last thing Finnick needs, but I promise to pass on the message. 4 soldiers guard the entrance to the hall marked Special Weaponry. Checking the schedules printed on our forearms is just a preliminary step. We also have fingerprint, retinal, and DNA scans, and have to step through special metal detectors. Beatty has to leave his wheelchair outside, although they provide him with another one once we're through security. I find the whole thing bizarre because I can't imagine anyone raised in District 13 being a threat the government would have to guard against. Had these precautions been put in place because of the recent influx of immigrants? At the door of the armory, we encounter a second round of identification checks. As if my DNA might have changed in the time it took to walk 20 yards down the hallway, and are finally allowed to enter the weapons collection. I have to admit the arsenal takes my breath away. Row upon row of firearms, launchers, explosives, armored vehicles. Of course, the Airborne Division is housed separately, Beatty tells us. Of course. I say, as if this would be self-evident. I don't know where a simple bow and arrow could possibly find a place in all this high-tech equipment, but then we come upon a wall of deadly archery weapons. I've played with a lot of the Capital's weapons in training, but none designed for military combat. I focus my attention on a lethal-looking bow so loaded down with scopes and gadgetry I'm certain I can't even lift it, let alone shoot it. "Gale, maybe you'd like to try out a few of these," says Beatty. "Seriously?" Gale asks. "You'll be issued a gun eventually for battle, of course, but if you appear as part of Katniss's team in the propos, one of these would look a little showier. I thought you might like to find one that suits you," says Beatty. "Yeah, I would." Gale's hand closes around the very bow that caught my attention a moment ago, and he hefts it onto his shoulder. He points it around the room, peering through the scope. "That doesn't seem very fair to the deer," I say. "Wouldn't be using it on deer, would I?" he answers. "I'll be right back," says Beatty. He presses a code into the panel, and a small doorway opens. I watch until he's disappeared and the door's shut. "So it'd be easy for you? Using that on people?" I ask. "I didn't say that." Gale drops the bow to his side. "But if I'd had a weapon that could have stopped what I saw happen in 12, if I'd had a weapon that could have kept you out of the arena, I'd have used it." "Me too," I admit. But I don't know what to tell him about the aftermath of killing a person, about how they never leave you. Beatty wheels back with a tall, black rectangular case awkwardly positioned between his footrest and his shoulder. He comes to a halt and tilts it toward me. "For you?" I set the case flat on the floor and undo the latches along one side. The top opens on silent hinges. Inside the case, on a bed of crushed maroon velvet, lies a stunning black bow. "Oh," I whisper in admiration. I lift it carefully into the air to admire the exquisite balance, the elegant design, and the curve of the limbs that somehow suggest the wings of a bird extended in flight. There's something else. I have to hold very still to make sure I'm not imagining it. No. The bow is alive in my hands. I press it against my cheek and feel the slight hum travel through the bones of my face. "What's it doing?" I ask. "Saying hello," explains Beatty with a grin. "It heard your voice." "It recognizes my voice?" I ask. "Only your voice," he tells me. "You see, they wanted me to design a bow based purely on looks, as part of your costume, you know. But I kept thinking, what a waste. I mean, what if you do need it sometime, as more than a fashion accessory? So I left the outside simple, and left the inside to my imagination. Best explained in practice, though. Want to try those out?" We do. It is an enchanted bow, you're right. A target range has already been prepared for us. The arrows that Beatty designed are no less remarkable than the bow. Between the two, I can shoot with accuracy over 100 yards. The variety of arrows, razor sharp, incendiary, explosive, turn the bow into a multi-purpose weapon. Okay, I don't know what incendiary means, so we have to Google that. We have to look it up. Incendiary. Incendiary. Designed to cause fires. Razor sharp, incendiary, explosive. Turn the bow into a multi-purpose weapon. That's cool. Oops. Fire. She's got a link bow. Yeah. Or a bow from Skyrim. Each one is recognizable by a distinctive colored shaft. I have the option of voice override at any time, but I have no idea why I would use it. To deactivate the bow's special properties, I need only tell it good night. Then it goes to sleep until the sound of my voice wakes it again. Yeah, I don't want to act like I know what it is, because it's like, I want to know what that word means. I'm in good spirits by the time I get back to the prep team, leaving Beatty and Gale behind. I sit patiently through the rest of the paint job and don my costume, which now includes a bloody bandage over the scar on my arm to indicate I've been in recent combat. Hello, zombie. Venya affixes my Mockingjay pin over my heart. I take up my bow and the sheath of normal arrows that Beatty made, knowing they would never let me walk around with the loaded ones. Then we're out on the soundstage, where I seem to stand for hours while they adjust makeup and lighting and smoke levels. Eventually, the commands coming via intercom from the invisible people in the mysterious glassed-in booth become fewer and fewer. Fulvia and Plutarch spend more time studying and less time adjusting me. Finally, there's quiet on set. For a full 5 minutes, I'm simply considered. Then Plutarch says, "I think that does it." We're reading Mockingjay, the third book in the Hunger Games series. I'm beckoned over to a monitor. They play back the last few minutes of taping, and I watch the woman on screen. Her body seems larger in stature, more imposing than mine. Her face is smudged, but sexy. Her brows black and drawn in an angle of defiance. Wisps of smoke, suggesting she has either just been extinguished or is about to burst into flames, rise from her clothes. I do not know who this person is. Finnick, who's been wandering around the set for a few hours, comes up behind me and says with a hint of his old humor, "They'll either want to kill you, kiss you, or be you." Everyone's so excited, so pleased with their work. It's nearly time to break for dinner, but they insist we continue. Tomorrow we'll focus on speeches and interviews and have me pretend to be in rebel battles. Today they want just one slogan, just one line that they can work into a short propo to show to coin. I have not read Pet Sematary, no. People of Panem, we fight, we dare, we end our hunger for justice. That's the line. I can tell by the way they present it that they've spent months, maybe years, working it out, and are really proud of it. Seems like a mouthful to me, though, and stiff. I can't imagine actually saying it in real life, unless I was using a capital accent and making fun of it. Like when Gale and I used to imitate Effie Trinket's, "May the odds be ever in your favor." But Fulvia's right in my face, describing a battle I've just been in, and how my comrades in arms are all lying dead around me, and how, to rally the living, I must turn to the camera and shout the line. I'm hustled back to my place, and the smoke machine kicks in. Someone calls for quiet, the cameras start rolling, and I hear, "Action!" So I hold my bow over my head and yell with all the anger I can muster. "People of Panem, we fight! We dare! We end our hunger for justice!" There's dead silence on the set. It goes on and on. Finally, the intercom crackles and Haymitch's acerbic laugh fills the studio. He contains himself just long enough to say, "And that, my friends, is how a revolution dies." End of chapter 5. That's so weird. I thought we had already read a chapter already, but I guess it was just the first chapter. Oh, right. I read the last paragraph of the last chapter we read. Time to kick some capital ass. Yeah, we've got 3 more chapters today. So we're gonna read we have this much left to read today. And then in total today, we will have read this much, which is 59 to 114. $54 pages? About 53 pages? Not too bad. Because we read 58 pages last time. Alright. Let me take a quick drink break. Shiny, I guess since you haven't seen the movies or read the books, so this is like all new to you, do you think when we watch Mockingjay, do you think you would want to watch both movies at once, or do you think you'd want to watch like one and then the next day watch the next one? Or like one and then the next week watch the next one? I feel like a week is too long though. Two separate days is probably better because they're probably long movies too. I bet they're not even short. Yeah, that's fair. It'd be easier for everyone to see it all. That makes sense. Okay. Boop, boop. I like the sunlight at this time of day. No, I would assume they were not released at the same time. Here, I can look it up. Look it up. Look it up. Come on, DuckDuckGo. Come on, DuckDuckGo. You can Duck do it. Why is it not opening? DuckDuckGo. Hello? There we go. It's gonna have like 3 tabs open. Why are you so slow? Cranberry juice tastes like it doesn't want to be wet. Oh shit. DuckDuckGo, you're taking too long. Mockingjay Part 1, 2024, 2014, and then Part 2 came out in 2015. Now you load DuckDuckGo? Well, they had to film it, you know? Oh my gosh, I opened so many. I did not open that many, okay? There was like 5. I clicked it 3 times. It's being dramatic. Like a time jump or something? I don't think so, but I don't remember. We'll have to see. Cuz when I was listening to the audiobook of this, I didn't finish it cuz I was crying a lot. It's sad. It's a sad book. Um Hold up. Okay, DuckDuckGo, where did you go? I didn't delete all of them. What the hell? I did not close all of them. Now all of them are closed? Are you kidding me? DuckDuckGo is messing with me right now. Oh, is there an ad coming up? Yes, perfect timing. Okay. Oh, there's a first chatter. I thought you were on TikTok for some reason, but you're right. Cranberry juice doesn't seem to want to be wet. You are right. I feel like breaking up one story into it's like, well, I don't know if I agree with them doing it. It's just what they did, you know? Like The Hobbit. Like The Hobbit they made into 3 movies, which is just crazy. That's just craziness. Oop. Also, oh my gosh, y'all, do you want a sticker of my cat? Because they're in the shop now. Make sure to get a sticker if you want one. For international, I don't have it on right now because I need to figure that out. Ponyo, ponyo, fishy in the sea. Perfect. Y'all can hear that, right? Yeah, I remember seeing the first Hobbit in theaters and being like, why are we doing that? Okay. I will. BRB. Look, she looks like she's in a meadow. And then we'll read the next chapter. Hello. Also, I'm still processing the medical information that I received because I still don't know, like, how bad things are. But, um, I learned that I have spinal arthritis. I'm 28. Um, and I have a bulging disc, and my sciatic nerve is pinched, I think from the bulging disc. And I got referred to a spinal surgeon and will probably need to get surgery to alleviate the bulging disc so my nerve isn't pinched anymore. But my doctor is like she doesn't know what to do with my case anymore. Like she's at the limit of what she can do to help me. And she wasn't answering any of my questions because she's like, you'll have to talk to the spinal surgeon about that. Damn. Where can I ask, like, where is your bulging disc? Lower back. Same. Yeah. Mine, it's like literally the vertebrae above the tailbone is where my arthritis is and where the bulging disc is. Um, yeah. So I haven't been super consistent with streaming this week because I found that out, and I've just been kind of all over the place. That's hilarious. I have a big bulge in my neck that started a week ago. That's not good. You should, if you have insurance, you should get that checked. That's scary. We all have spinal issues together. Aw, my little spinal issue baddies. So I don't know. That's what's freaking me out too, is like those of you who've been around for at least like a few months at least, you know how they've been like dicking me around, they've been like, oh, it'll be like 6 months where you can do this. Or like with my MRI, they'll be like, it'll be like a month, it'll be a little bit of a wait. And then with this, they're like, oh yeah, might be a little bit before the spinal surgeon gets to you. Could be like 3 or 4 days. And I'm like, 3 or 4 days is a long time? When you've been telling me like a month to 6 months is like a regular amount of time? What's the rush? Yeah. So probably next week I should hear from them to schedule something, but I don't know. Because I just got the referral. So now I have to wait for them to call me and be like, we got the referral. Let's schedule you. Yeah. Hmm. Well, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah. That is a good way to look at it. But one of the options is like physical therapy, and I'm like, okay, I'll keep doing that. Yeah, I hope so. All right. Super Happy Fun Times is this book. Um, it is very interesting. Like, I really want y'all to think about like what's happening in our world while I read this book to you. Because I really feel like it's such a parallel. Uh I don't know who Katniss would be, but like the war, the capital, the rich people, people like not really realizing what's going on. I still can't believe I found this book at the thrift. Okay. Who's ready for chapter 6? Yeah, it's not really viable to think that one person. Oh, you're saying you're ready for chapter 6. I was like, damn, Sentient's saying they want to be Katniss. I what does she say? I volunteer. Katniss is our collective power. Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. There's a scene that's gonna happen pretty soon. I don't know if it's gonna happen today, but like, I don't know if I'm ready to read it. It's like I read it while, around learning more and more about Gaza and all of what Israel's doing to Gaza and the genocide and all the bombings and stuff, and like even thinking about how she goes to District 12 and it's just like there's nothing left. um there's literally like human remains in all different like kinds of decomposition, and that's just crazy. And that's happening now, like in real life that's happening. So I just, yeah, this is a really interesting book to read while knowing how like reflective it is of what's happening in reality. All right. Chapter 6. Oh, I love those. That's nice. The hearts with the Gazan flag. Chapter 6. The shock of hearing Haymitch's voice yesterday, of learning that he was not only functional but had some measure of control over my life again, enraged me. I left the studio directly and refused to acknowledge his comments from the booth today. Even so, I knew immediately he was right about my performance. It took the whole of this morning for him to convince the others of my limitations, that I can't pull it off. I can't stand in a television studio wearing a costume and makeup in a cloud of fake smoke and rally the districts to victory. It's amazing, really, how long I've survived the cameras. The credit for that, of course, goes to PETA. Alone, I can't be the Mockingjay. We gather around the huge table in command. Coin and her people, Plutarch, Fulvia, and my prep team. A group from 12 that includes Haymitch and Gale, but also a few others I can't explain, like Levy and Greasy Say. At the last minute, Finnick wheels Beatty in, accompanied by Dalton, the cattle expert from 10. I suppose that Coin assembled this strange assortment of people as witnesses to my failure. However, it's Haymitch who welcomes everyone, and by his words, I understand that they have come at his personal invitation. This is the first time we've been in a room together since I clawed him. I avoid looking at him directly, but I catch a glimpse of his reflection in one of the shiny control consoles along the wall. He looks slightly yellow and has lost a lot of weight, giving him a shrunken appearance. For a second, I'm afraid that he's dying. Then I have to remind myself that I don't care. The first thing Haymitch does is to show the footage we've just shot. I seem to have reached some new low under Plutarch and Fulvia's guidance. Both my voice and body have a jerky, disjointed quality, like a puppet being manipulated by unseen forces. "All right," Haymitch says when it's all over. "Would anyone like to argue that this is of use to us in winning the war?" No one does. That saves time. So, let's all be quiet for a minute. I want everyone to think of one incident where Katniss Everdeen genuinely moved you. Not where you were jealous of her hairstyle, or her dress was up in flames, where she made a halfway decent shot with an arrow. Not where PETA was making you like her. I want to hear one moment where she made you feel something real. Quiet stretches out, and I'm beginning to think it will never end. When Levy speaks up. When she volunteered to take Prim's place at the reaping, because I'm sure she thought she was going to die. Good. Excellent example, says Haymitch. He takes a purple marker and writes on a notepad. Volunteered for sister at reaping. Haymitch looks around the table. Somebody else? I'm surprised that the next speaker is Boggs, who I think of as a muscular robot that does Coin's bidding. When she sang the song, well, the little girl died. Somewhere in my head, an image surfaces of Boggs with a young boy perched up on his hip. In the dining hall, I think. Maybe he's not a robot after all. Who didn't get choked up at that, right? Says Haymitch, writing it down. I cried when she drugged PETA so she could go get him medicine, and when she kissed him goodbye, blurts out Octavia. Then she covers her mouth like she's sure this was a bad mistake. But Haymitch nods. Oh yeah. Drugs PETA to save his life. Very nice. The moments begin to come thick and fast, and in no particular order. When I took Rue on as an ally. Extended my hand to Chaff on interview night. Tried to carry Mags. And again when I held out those berries that meant different things to different people. Love for PETA, refusal to give in under impossible odds, defiance of the capital's inhumanity. Haymitch holds up the notepad. So, the question is, what do all of these have in common? They were Katniss's, says Gale quietly. No one told her what to say or do. Unscripted, yes, says Beatty. He reaches over and pats my hand. So we should just leave you alone, right? People laugh. I even smile a little. Well, that's all very nice, but not very helpful, says Fulvia peevishly. Unfortunately, her opportunities for being wonderful are rather limited here in 13. So, unless you're suggesting we toss her into the middle of combat... That's exactly what I'm suggesting, says Haymitch. Put her out in the field and just keep the cameras rolling. But people think she's pregnant, Gale points out. We'll spread the word that she lost the baby from the electrical shock in the arena. Very sad, very unfortunate. The idea of sending me into combat is controversial, but Haymitch has a pretty tight case. If I perform well only in real-life circumstances, then into them I should go. Every time we coach her or give her lines, the best we can hope for is okay. It has to come from her. That's what people are responding to. Well, even if we're careful, we can't guarantee her safety, says Boggs. She'll be a target for every... I want to go in, I break. I'm no help to the rebels here. And if you're killed? Asks Coin. Make sure you get some footage. You can use that anyway, I answer. Fine, says Coin. But let's take it one step at a time. Find the least dangerous situation that can evoke some spontaneity in you. She walks around command, studying the illuminated district maps that show the ongoing troop positions in the war. Take her into 8 this afternoon. There was a heavy bombing this morning, but the raid seems to have run its course. I want her armed with a squad of bodyguards. Camera crew on the ground. Haymitch, you'll be airborne and in contact with her. Let's see what happens there. Does anyone have any other comments? Wash your face, says Dalton. Everyone turns to him. She's still a little girl, and you made her look 35. Feels wrong. Feels like something the Capitol would do. As Coin adjourns the meeting, Haymitch asks her if he can speak to me privately. The others leave except for Gale, who lingers uncertainly by my side. What are you worried about? Haymitch asks him. I'm the one who needs a bodyguard. It's okay, I tell Gale, and he goes. Then there's just the hum of the instruments, the purr of the ventilation system. Haymitch takes the seat across from me. We're going to have to work together again, so go ahead, just say it. I think of the snarling, cruel exchange back on the hovercraft, the bitterness that followed. But all I say is, I can't believe you didn't rescue Peeta. I know, he replies. There's a sense of incompleteness. And not because he hasn't apologized, but because we were a team. We had a deal to keep Peeta safe. A drunken, unrealistic deal made in the dark of night, but a deal just the same. And in my heart of hearts, I know we both failed him. Now you say it, I tell him. I can't believe you let him out of your sight that night, says Haymitch. I nod. That's it. I play it over and over in my head, what I could have done to keep him by my side without breaking the alliance, but nothing comes to me. You didn't have a choice. And even if I could have made Plutarch stay and rescue him that night, the whole hovercraft would have gone down. We barely got out as it was. I finally meet Haymitch's eyes. Seam's eyes. Gray and deep and ringed with the circles of sleepless nights. He's not dead yet, Katniss. We're still in the game. I try to say this with optimism, but my voice cracks. Still in. And I'm still your mentor. Haymitch points his marker at me. When you're on the ground, remember I'm airborne. I'll have the better view, so do what I tell you. We'll see, I answer. I return to the remake room and watch the streaks of makeup disappear down the drain as I scrub my face clean. The person in the mirror looks ragged, with her uneven skin and tired eyes, but she looks like me. I rip the armband off, revealing the ugly scar from the tracker. There. That looks like me too. Since I'll be in a combat zone, BD helps me with the armor Cinna designed. A helmet of some interwoven metal that fits close to my head. The material's supple, like fabric, and can be drawn back like a hood in case I don't want it up full time. A vest to reinforce the protection of my vital organs. A small white earpiece that attaches to my collar by a wire. BD secures a mask to my belt so that I don't have to wear unless there's a gas attack. If you see anyone dropping for reasons you can't explain, put it on immediately, he says. Finally, he straps a sheath divided into 3 cylinders of arrows into my back. Just remember, right side, fire. Left side, explosive. Center, regular. You shouldn't need them, but better safe than sorry. Boggs shows up to escort me down to the airborne division. Just as the elevator arrives, Finnick appears in a state of agitation. Katniss! They won't let me go! I told them I'm fine, but they won't even let me ride in the hovercraft! I take in Finnick, his bare legs showing between his hospital gown and slippers, his tangle of hair, the half-knotted rope twisted around his fingers, the wild look in his eyes, and no, any plea on my part will be useless. Even I don't think it's a good idea to bring him in. So I smack my hand on my forehead and say, "Oh, I forgot! It's this stupid concussion. I was supposed to tell you to report to BD in special weaponry. He's designed a new trident for you." At the word trident, it's as if the old Finnick surfaces. Really? What's it do? I don't know, but if it's anything like my bow and arrows, you're going to love it, I say. You'll need to train with it, though. Right, of course. I guess I better get down there, he says. Finnick, I say. Maybe some pants? He looks down at his legs, as if noticing his outfit for the first time. Then he whips off his hospital gown, leaving him in just his underwear. Why do you find this? He strikes a ridiculously provocative pose. Distracting? I can't help laughing because it's funny, and it's extra funny because it makes Boggs look so uncomfortable, and I'm happy because Finnick actually sounds like the guy I met at the Quarter Quell. I'm only human, O'Dare. I get in before the elevator doors close. Sorry, I say to Boggs. Don't be. I thought you handled that well, he says. Better than my having to arrest him anyway. Yeah, I say. I sneak a sidelong glance at him. He's probably in his mid-40s, with close-cropped gray hair and blue eyes. Incredible posture. He's spoken out twice today in ways that make me think he would rather be friends than enemies. Maybe I should give him a chance, but he just seems so in step with Coin. There's a series of loud clicks. The elevator comes to a slight pause and then begins to move laterally to the left.
Hello, Princess.
Hi, Bisky. It goes sideways? I ask. What? What? Why is my phone talking to me? I didn't hear what it said. Something update on your screen. I've been doing well. How are you? Taking this opportunity for some water. All right. Oh, hi, kitty. Oh my gosh. Hello. Ooh, that's fun. Not really. Do you already have that scheduled? It goes sideways? I ask. Yes. There's a whole network of elevator paths under 13, he answers. This one lies just above the transport spoke to the 5th airlift platform. It's taking us to the hangar. The hangar. The dungeons. Special defense. Somewhere food is grown. Power generated. Air and water purified. 13 is even larger than I thought. Can't take credit for much of it, says Boggs. We basically inherited the place. It's been all we can do to keep it running. The clicks resume. We drop down again briefly, just a couple of levels, and the doors open on the hangar. Oh, I let out involuntarily at the sight of the fleet. Row and row and row of different kinds of hovercrafts. Did you inherit these too? Some we manufactured. Some were part of the capital's air force. They've been updated, of course, says Boggs. I feel that twinge of hatred against 13 again. So you had all this and you left the rest of the districts defenseless against the capital. It's not that simple, he shoots back. We were in no position to launch a counterattack until recently. We could barely stay alive. After we'd overthrown and executed the capital's people, only a handful of us even knew how to pilot. We could have nuked them with missiles, yes, but there's always the larger question. If we engage in that type of war with the capital, would there be any human life left? Hi, Junie. That sounds like what PETA said, and you all called him a traitor, I counter. Because he called for a ceasefire, says Boggs. You'll notice neither side has launched nuclear weapons. We're working it out the old-fashioned way. Over here, Soldier Everdeen. He indicates one of the smaller hovercraft. I mount the stairs and find it packed with the television crew and equipment. Everyone else is dressed in 13's dark gray military jumpsuits. Even Haymitch, although he seems unhappy about the snugness of his collar. Fulvia Cardew hustles over and makes a sound of frustration when she sees my clean face. All that work, down the drain. I'm not blaming you, Katniss. It's just that very few people are born with camera-ready faces, like him. She snags Gale, who's in a conversation with Plutarch, and spins him towards us. Isn't he handsome? Gale does look striking in the uniform, I guess. But the question just embarrasses us both, given our history. I'm trying to think of a witty comeback when Boggs says brusquely, Well, don't expect us to be too impressed. We just saw Finnigo Dare in his underwear. I decide to go ahead and like Boggs. There's a warning of the upcoming takeoff, and I strap myself into a seat next to Gale, facing off with Haymitch and Plutarch. We glide through a maze of tunnels that opens out onto a platform. Some sort of elevator device lifts the craft slowly up through the levels. All at once, we're outside in a large field surrounded by woods. Then we rise off the platform and become wrapped in clouds. Now that the flurry of activity leading up to this mission is over, I realize I have no idea what I'm facing on this trip to District 8. In fact, I know very little about the actual state of the war, or what it would take to win, or what would happen if we did. Plutarch tries to lay it out in simple terms for me. First of all, every district is currently at war with the capital except 2, which has always had a favored relationship with our enemies despite its participation within the Hunger Games. They get more food and better living conditions. After the Dark Days and the supposed destruction of 13, District 2 became the capital's new center of defense, although it's publicly presented as the home of the nation's stone quarries, in the same way that 13 was known for graphite mining. District 2 not only manufactures weaponry, it trains and even supplies peacekeepers. You mean some of the peacekeepers are born in 2? I ask. I thought they all came from the capital. Plutarch nods. That's what you're supposed to think. And some do come from the capital, but its population could never sustain a force that size. Then there's the problem of recruiting capital-raised citizens for a dull life of deprivation in the districts. A 20-year commitment to the peacekeepers. No marriage, no children allowed. Some buy into it for the honor of the thing. Others take it on as an alternative to punishment. For instance, join the peacekeepers and your debts are forgiven. Many people are swamped in debt in the capital, but not all of them are fit for military duty. So, District 2 is where we turn for additional troops. It's a way for their people to escape poverty and a life in the quarries. They're raised with a warrior mindset. You've seen how eager their children are to volunteer to be tributes. Cato and Clove. Brutus and Enobaria. I've seen their eagerness and their bloodlust, too. But all the other districts are they on our side? I ask. Yes. Our goal is to take over the districts one by one, ending with District 2, thus cutting off the capital's supply chain. Then, once it's weakened, we invade the capital itself, says Plutarch. That will be a whole other type of challenge, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. If we win, who would be in charge of the government? Gale asks. Everyone, Plutarch tells him. We're going to form a republic where the people of each district and the capital can elect their own representatives to be their voice in a centralized government. Don't look so suspicious. It's worked before. In books, Haymitch mutters. In history books, says Plutarch. And if our ancestors could do it, then we can too. Frankly, our ancestors don't see much to brag about. I mean, look at the state they left us in, with the wars and the broken planet. Clearly, they didn't care about what could happen to the people who came after them. But this republic idea sounds like an improvement over our current government. And if we lose? I ask. If we lose? Plutarch looks out at the clouds, and an ironic smile twists his lips. Then I would expect next year's Hunger Games to be quite unforgettable. That reminds me. He takes a vial from his chest, shakes a few pills that are deep violet into his hand, and holds them out to us. We named them Nightlock in your honor, Katniss. The rebels can't afford for any of us to be captured now. But I promise it would be completely painless. I take hold of a capsule, unsure of where to put it. Plutarch taps a spot on my shoulder at the front of my left sleeve. I examine it and find a tiny pocket that both secures and conceals the pill. Even if my hands were tied, I could lean my head forward and bite it free. Cinna, it seems, has thought of everything. End of chapter 7. Sorry, end of chapter 6. Now we're on chapter 7. And we have this much more. We've got 2 chapters left for today. And per usual, it's snack break time. I like eating around the edges of the cookies, so then the center is like the softest part left. So I think we are gonna get to the part that makes me really sad. I don't know. Is that that's not a spoiler. That's just like a trigger warning, I guess. Trigger warning, sad. All right. Time for our third chapter of the day. Chapter 7. The hovercraft makes a quick spiral descent onto a wide road on the outskirts of 8. Almost immediately, the doors open, the stairs slide into place, and we're spit out onto the asphalt. The moment the last person disembarks, the equipment retracts. Then the craft lifts off and vanishes. I'm left with a bodyguard made up of Gale, Boggs, and 2 other soldiers. The TV crew consists of a pair of burly Capitol cameramen with heavy mobile cameras encasing their bodies like insect shells, a woman director named Cressida, who has a shaved head tattooed with green vines, and her head assistant, Messala, a slim young man with several sets of earrings. On careful observation, I see his tongue has been pierced too, and he wears a stud with a silver ball the size of a marble. Boggs hustles us off the road towards a row of warehouses as a second hovercraft comes in for a landing. This one brings crates of medical supplies and a crew of 6 medics. I can tell by their distinctive white outfits. We all follow Boggs down an alley that runs between 2 dull gray warehouses. Only the occasional access ladder to the roof interrupts the scarred metal walls. When we emerge onto the street, it's like we've entered another world. The wounded from this morning's bombing are being brought in, on homemade stretchers, in wheelbarrows, on carts, slung across shoulders and clenched tight in arms, bleeding, limbless, unconscious, propelled by desperate people to a warehouse with a sloppily painted H above the doorway. It's a scene from my old kitchen where my mother treated the dying, multiplied by 10, by 50, by 100. I had expected bombed-out buildings and instead find myself confronted with broken human bodies. This is where they plan on filming me? I turn to Boggs. This won't work, I say. I won't be good here. He must see the panic in my eyes because he stops a moment and places his hands on my shoulders. You will. Just let them see you. That will do more for them than any doctor in the world could. A woman directing the incoming patients catches sight of us, does a sort of double take, and then strides over. Her dark brown eyes are puffy with fatigue and she smells of metal and sweat. A bandage around her throat needs changing about 3 days ago. The strap of the automatic weapon slung across her back digs into her neck, and she shifts her shoulder to reposition it. With a jerk of her thumb, she orders the medics into the warehouse. They comply without a question. "This is Commander Paler of 8, says Boggs. "Commander, Soldier Katniss Everdeen." She looks young to be a commander. Early 30s? But there's this authoritative tone to her voice that makes you feel her appointment wasn't arbitrary. Besides her, in my spanking new outfit, scrubbed and shiny, I feel like a recently hatched chick, untested and only just learning how to navigate the world. "Yeah, I know who she is," says Paler. "You're alive then. We weren't sure." Am I wrong, or is there a note of accusation in her voice? "I'm still not sure myself," I say. "Been in recovery." Boggs taps his head. "Bad concussion." He lowers his voice a moment. "Miscarriage. But she insisted on coming by to see her wounded." "Well, we've got plenty of those," says Paler. "You think this is a good idea?" says Gale, frowning at the hospital. "Assembling your wounded like this?" I don't. Any sort of contagious disease would spread through this place like wildfire. "I think it's slightly better than leaving them to die," says Paler. "That's not what I meant," Gale tells her. "Well, currently that's my other option. But if you come up with a third and get coin to back it, I'm all ears." Paler waves me towards the door. "Come on in, Mockingjay, and by all means bring your friends." I glance back at the freak show that is my crew, steel myself, and follow her into the hospital. Some sort of heavy industrial curtain hangs the length of the building, forming a sizable corridor. Corpses lie side by side, curtains brushing their heads, white cloths concealing their faces. "We've got a mass grave started a few blocks west of here, but I can't spare the manpower to move them yet," says Paler. She finds a slit in the curtain and opens it wide. My fingers wrap around Gale's wrist. "Do not leave my side," I say under my breath. "I'm right here," he answers quietly. I step through the curtain, and my senses are assaulted. My first impulse is to cover my nose to block out the stench of soiled linen, putrefying flesh, and vomit, all ripening in the heat of the warehouse. They've propped open skylights that crisscross the high metal roof, but any air that's managing to get in can't make a dent in the fog below. The thin shafts of sunlight provide the only illumination, and as my eyes adjust, I can make out row upon row of wounded, in cots, on pallets, on the floor, because there are so many to claim the space. The drone of black flies, the moaning of people in pain, and the sobs of their attending loved ones have combined into a wrenching chorus. We have no real hospitals in the districts. We die at home, which at the moment seems a far desirable alternative to what lies in front of me. Then I remember that many of these people probably lost their homes in the bombings. Sweat begins to run down my back, fill my palms. I breathe through my mouth in an attempt to diminish the smell. Black spots swim across my vision, and I think there's a really good chance I could faint. But then I catch sight of Paler, who's watching me so closely, waiting to see what I'm made of, and if any of them have been right to think they can count on me. So I let go of Gale and force myself to move deeper into the warehouse, to walk into the narrow strip between two rows of beds. "Katniss," a voice croaks out from my left, breaking apart from the general din. "Katniss." A hand reaches for me out of the haze. I cling to it for support. Attached to the hand is a young woman with an injured leg. Blood is seeped through the heavy bandages, which are crawling with flies. Her face reflects her pain, but something else too. Something that seems completely incongruous with her situation. "Is it really you?" "Yeah, it's me," I get out. Joy. That's the expression on her face. At the sound of my voice, it brightens, erases the suffering momentarily. You're alive. We didn't know. People said you were, but we didn't know, she says excitedly. I got pretty banged up, but I got better, I say. Just like you will. I've got to tell my brother. The woman struggles to sit up and calls someone to a few beds down. Eddie! Eddie, she's here! Katniss Everdeen! A boy, probably about 12 years old, turns to us. Bandages obscure half of his face. The side of his mouth I can see opens as if to utter an exclamation. I go to him, push his damp brown curls back from his forehead. Murmur a greeting. He can't speak, but his one good eye fixes on me with such intensity, as if he's trying to memorize every detail of my face. I hear my name rippling through the hot air, spreading out into the hospital. Katniss! Katniss Everdeen! The sounds of pain and grief begin to recede, to be replaced by words of anticipation. From all sides, voices beckon me. I begin to move, clasping the hands extended to me, touching the sound parts of those unable to move their limbs, saying hello, how are you, good to meet you. Nothing of importance, no amazing words of inspiration. But it doesn't matter. Boggs is right. It's the sight of me alive that is the inspiration. Hungry fingers devour me, wanting to feel my flesh. As a stricken man clutches my face between his hands, I send a silent thank you to Dalton for suggesting I wash off the makeup. How ridiculous, how perverse I would feel presenting that painted capital mask to these people. The damage, fatigue, the imperfections. That's how they recognize me, why I belong to them. Despite his controversial interview with Caesar, many ask about Peeta, assure me that they know he was speaking under duress. I do my best to sound positive about our future, but people are truly devastated when they learn I've lost the baby. I want to come clean and tell one weeping woman that it was all a hoax, a move in the game, but to present Peeta as a liar now would not help his image. Or mine. Or the cause. I begin to fully understand the lengths to which people have gone to protect me. What I mean to the rebels. My ongoing struggle against the Capitol, which has so often felt like a solitary journey, has not been undertaken alone. I have had thousands upon thousands of people from the districts at my side. I was their Mockingjay long before I accepted the role. A new sensation begins to germinate inside me. But it takes until I'm standing on a table waving my final goodbyes to the hoarse chanting of my name to define it. Power. I have a kind of power I never knew I possessed. Snow knew it as soon as I held out those berries. Plutarch knew it when he rescued me from the arena. And Coin knows now. So much so that she must publicly remind her people that I am not in control. When we're outside again, I lean against the warehouse, catching my breath, accepting the canteens of water from Boggs. You did great, he says. Well, I didn't faint or throw up or run out screaming. Mostly I just rode the wave of emotion rolling through the place. We got some nice stuff in there, says Cressida. I looked at the insect cameramen, perspiration pouring from under their equipment. Messala scribbling notes. I had forgotten they were filming me. I didn't do much, really, I say. You have to give yourself some credit for what you've done in the past, says Boggs. What I've done in the past? I think of the trail of destruction in my wake. My knees weaken and I slide down to a sitting position. That's a mixed bag. Well, you're not perfect by a long shot, but times being what they are, you'll have to do, says Boggs. Gale squats down beside me, shaking his head. I can't believe you let all those people touch you. I kept expecting you to make a break for the door. Shut up, I say with a laugh. Your mother's going to be very proud when she sees the footage, he says. My mother won't even notice me. She'll be too appalled by the conditions in there. I turn to Boggs and ask, is it like this in every district? Yes. Most are under attack. We're trying to get in aid where we can, but it's not enough. He stops a minute, distracted by something in his earpiece. I realize I haven't heard Haymitch's voice once and fiddle with mine, wondering if it's broken. We're going to the airstrip, immediately, Boggs says, lifting me to my feet with one hand. There's a problem. What kind of problem? Asks Gale. Incoming bombers, says Boggs. He reaches behind my neck and yanks Cinna's helmet up on top of my head. Let's move! Unsure of what's going on, I take off running along the front of the warehouse, heading for the alley that leads to the airstrip. But I don't sense any immediate threat. The sky's an empty, cloudless blue. The street's clear except for the people hauling the wounded to the hospital. There's no enemy, no alarm. Then the sirens begin to wail. Within seconds, a low-flying V-shaped formation of Capital hoverplanes appears above us, and the bombs begin to fall. I'm blown off my feet into the front wall of the warehouse. There's a searing pain just above the back of my right knee. Something has struck my back as well, but doesn't seem to have penetrated my vest. I try to get up, but Boggs pushes me back down, shielding my body with his own. The ground ripples under me as bomb after bomb drops from the planes and detonates. It's a horrifying sensation, being pinned against the wall as the bombs rain down. What was the expression my father used for easy kills? Like shooting fish in a barrel. We are the fish, the street, the barrel. Katniss! I'm startled by Haymitch's voice in my ear. What? Yes, what? I'm here, I answer. Listen to me. We can't land during the bombing, but it's imperative you're not spotted, he says. So they don't know I'm here? I assumed. As usual, it was my presence that brought my own punishment. Intelligence thinks no, that this raid was already scheduled, says Haymitch. Now Plutarch's voice comes up, calm but forceful. The voice of a head game maker used to calling the shots under pressure. There's a light blue warehouse 3 down from you. It has a bunker in the far north corner. Can you get there? We'll do our best, says Boggs. Plutarch must be in everyone's ear because my bodyguards and crew are getting up. My eyes instinctively search for Gale and see he's on his feet, apparently unharmed. You've got maybe 45 seconds to the next wave, says Plutarch. I give a grunt of pain as my right leg takes the weight of my body, but I keep moving. No time to examine the injury. Better not to look now, anyway. Fortunately, I have on shoes that Cinna designed. They grip the asphalt on contact and spring free of it on release. I'd be hopeless in that ill-fitting pair that 13 assigned to me. Boggs has the lead, but no one else passes me. Instead, they match my pace, protecting my sides, my back. I force myself into a sprint as the seconds tick away. We pass the second gray warehouse and run along a dirt-brown building. Up ahead, I see a faded blue facade. Home of the bunker. We have just reached another alley, need only to cross it to arrive at the door when the next wave of bomb begins. I instinctively dive into the alley and roll toward the blue wall. This time it's Gale who throws himself over me to provide one more layer of protection from the bombing. It seems to go on longer this time, but we're farther away. I shift onto my side and find myself looking directly into Gale's eyes. For an instant, the world recedes, and there's just his flushed face, his pulse visible at his temple, and his lips slightly parted as he tries to catch his breath. You all right? He asks, his words nearly drowned out by an explosion. Yeah, I don't think they've seen me, I answer. I mean, they're not following us. No, they've targeted something else, says Gale. I know, but there's nothing back there but... The realization hits us at the same time. The hospital. Instantly, Gale's up and shouting to the others. They're targeting the hospital! Not your problem, says Plutarch firmly. Get to the bunker. But there's nothing there but the wounded, I say. Katniss. I hear the warning note in Haymitch's voice and know it's coming. Don't you even think about... I yank the earpiece free and let it hang from its wire. With that distraction gone, I hear another sound. Machine gun fire coming from the roof of the dirt-brown warehouse across the alley. Someone is returning fire. Before anyone can stop me, I make a dash for an access ladder and begin to scale it. Climbing. One of the things I do best. Don't stop, I hear Gale say behind me. Then there's the sound of his boot on someone's face. If it belonged to Boggs, Gale's going to pay for it dearly later on. I make it to the roof and drag myself onto the tar. I stop long enough to pull Gale up beside me, and then we take off for the row of machine gun nests on the street side of the warehouse. Each looks to be manned by a few rebels. We skid into a nest with a pair of soldiers hunching down behind the barrier. Boggs knows you're up here? To my left, I see Paylor behind one of the guns, looking at us quizzically. I try to be evasive without flat-out lying. He knows where we are, all right. Paylor laughs. I bet he does. You been trained in these? She slaps the stock of her gun. I have in 13, says Gale, but I'd rather use my own weapons. Yes, we've got our bows. I hold mine up and then realize how decorative it must seem. It's more deadly than it looks. It would have to be, says Paylor. All right, we expect at least 3 more waves. They have to drop their sight shields before they release the bombs. That's our chance. Stay low. I position myself to shoot from one knee. Better start with fire, says Gale. I nod and pull an arrow from my right sheath. If we miss our targets, these arrows will land somewhere, probably the warehouses across the street. A fire can be put out, but the damage an explosive can do may be irreparable. Suddenly, they appear in the sky, 2 blocks down, maybe 100 yards above us. 7 small bombers in a V formation. Geese! I yell at Gale. He'll know exactly what I mean. During migration season, when we hunt fowl, we've developed a system of dividing the birds so we don't both target the same ones. I get the far side of the V, Gale takes the rear, and we alternate shots at the front bird. There's no time for further discussion. I estimate the lead time on the hoverplanes and let my arrow fly. I catch the inside wing of one, causing it to burst into flames. Gale just misses the point plane. A fire blooms on an empty warehouse roof across from us. He swears under his breath. The hoverplane I hit swerves out of formation, but still releases its bombs. It doesn't disappear, though. Neither does the one I assume was hit by gunfire. The damage must prevent the sight shield from reactivating. Good shot, says Gale. I wasn't even aiming for that one, I mutter. I'd set my sights on the plane in front of it. They're faster than we think. Positions! Paylor shouts. The next wave of hoverplanes is appearing already. Fire's no good, Gale says. I nod, and we both load explosive-tipped arrows. Those warehouses across the way look deserted anyway. As the planes sweep silently in, I make another decision. I'm standing, I shout to Gale, and rise to my feet. This is the position I get the best accuracy from. I led earlier and score a direct hit on the point plane, blasting a hole in its belly. Gale blows the tail off a second. It flips and crashes into the street, setting off a series of explosions as its cargo goes off. Without warning, a third V formation unveils. This time, Gale squarely hits the point plane. I take the wing off the second bomber, causing it to spin into the one behind it. Together, they collide into the roof of the warehouse across from the hospital. A fourth goes down from gunfire. All right, that's it, Paylor says. Flames and heavy black smoke from the wreckage obscure our view. Did they hit the hospital? Must have, she says grimly. As I hurry toward the ladder at the far end of the warehouse, the sight of Messala and one of the insects emerging from behind an air duct surprises me. I thought they'd still be hunkered down in the alley. "They're growing on me," says Gale. I scramble down a ladder, where my feet hit the ground, and I find a bodyguard, Cressida, and the other insect waiting. I expect resistance, but Cressida just waves me toward the hospital. She's yelling, "I don't care, Plutarch, just give me 5 more minutes!" Not one to question a free pass, I take off into the street. "Oh no," I whisper as I catch sight of the hospital. What used to be the hospital. I move past the wounded, past the burning plane wrecks, fixated on the disaster ahead of me. People screaming, running about frantically, but unable to help. The bombs have collapsed the hospital roof and set the building on fire, effectively trapping the patients within. A group of rescuers has assembled, trying to clear a path on the inside, but I already know what they'll find. If the crushing debris and the flames didn't get them, the smoke did. Gale's at my shoulders. The fact that he does nothing only confirms my suspicions. Miners don't abandon an accident unless it's hopeless. "Come on, Katniss. Haymitch says they can get a hovercraft in for us now," he tells me. But I can't seem to move. Why would they do that? Why would they target people who are already dying? I ask him. "Scare others off. Prevent the wounded from seeking help," says Gale. "Those people you met, they were expendable, to Snow anyway. If the Capitol wins, what will it do with a bunch of damaged slaves?" I remember all those years in the woods, listening to Gale rant against the Capitol. Me not paying close attention, wondering why he even bothered to dissect its motives. Why thinking like our enemy would even matter. Clearly it could have mattered today. When Gale questioned the existence of the hospital, he wasn't thinking of disease, but this. Because he never underestimates the cruelty of those we face. I slowly turn my back to the hospital and find Cressida, flanked by the insects, standing a couple of yards in front of me. Her manners unrattled. Cool, even. "Katniss," she says. "President Snow just had them air the bombing live. Then he made an appearance to say that this was his way of sending a message to the rebels. What about you? Would you like to tell the rebels anything?" "Yes," I whisper. The red blinking light on one of the cameras catches my eye. I know I'm being recorded. "Yes," I say more forcefully. Everyone is drawing away from me. Gale, Cressida, the insects, giving me the stage. But I stay focused on the red light. "I want to tell the rebels that I am alive. That I'm right here in District 8, where the Capitol has just bombed a hospital full of unarmed men, women, and children. There will be no survivors." The shock I've been feeling begins to give way to fury. "I want to tell people that if you think for 1 second the Capitol will treat us fairly if there's a ceasefire, you're deluding yourself, because you know who they are and what they do." My hands go out automatically, as if to indicate the whole horror around me. "This is what they do, and we must fight back." I'm moving in toward the camera now, carried forward by my rage. "President Snow says he's sending us a message?
Well, I have one for him. You can torture us and bomb us and burn our districts to the ground. But do you see that? One of the cameras following as I point to the planes burning on the roof of the warehouse across from us. The capital seal on a wing glows clearly through the flames. Fire is catching! I'm shouting now, determined that he will not miss a word. And if we burn, you burn with us. My last words hang in the air. I feel suspended in time, held aloft in a cloud of heat that generates not from my surroundings, but from my own being. Cut! Cressida's voice snaps me back to reality, extinguishes me. She gives me a nod of approval. That's a wrap. End of chapter 7. Oh, yeah. What? That's a horrible chapter. What do you mean, oh, yeah? Or are you like, yeah, they got the cut? Now we just have this much left for today. And we will have read this much of the book. That's crazy. It's horrible, but at least she's inspiring people. That's true. That's very true. Yeah, I think this is a very good series. All right. Water. I think I need a little bit more light. Feels like the sun is setting already. Only 4:55. There will be time for sorrow later. What? I guess so, yeah. I mean, it's very sad. Oh damn, Shiny, I didn't realize you said you put your... I didn't notice you put your watch streak. 110 streams. Damn. That's like a third of a year. Oh my gosh, that's so much better. Oh my gosh, and it's the kitty! Y'all see the kitty baby? Can you see her? Yes, look at her, she's so cute. Cute little kitty baby girl. Okay, I'm gonna take another break before we read the last chapter of the day. Let's see. Did I keep it up? Or did I close it? It looks like I closed it. Maybe. There we go. There we go. Haha. Okay. I'll be right back. Yeah, that was a really hard chapter though. That's one of my least favorite chapters that I remember because it's just sad and thinking about how like that's literally happening right now. Like right now, the US is also doing that. The US is bombing people. The US is bombing innocent people and doing that and killing innocent children.
And I think she does a pretty good job of like putting that all together. Anyways, I'll be right back and then we'll read chapter. Wait. Hey, what the heck? Oh, I put the bookmark in the wrong spot. I was like, we didn't read chapter 8 yet. Whoops. Okay. We'll read chapter 8 in just a moment. I put some music on for y'all. Oh my gosh, I was talking that whole time and I was muted. Damn it. Okay. Don't forget to get a sticker if you would like one. Look, she's in the basket. Like in the sticker. Okay. Boop. Time for chapter 8. Can I hold up the sticker again? Yeah. Oh, you can't see her because she's in her basket. On TikTok, you can't see it, but she's in her little basket. Yeah. I took like several hours yesterday making stickers for y'all. Void rainbow, yes. Yeah, because I have like little rainbow, the privacy film on my window. So, yeah. All right. Chapter 8 of Mockingjay. Boggs appears and gets a firm lock on my arm, but I'm not planning on running now. I look over at the hospital, just in time to see the rest of the structure give way, and the fight goes out of me. All those people. The hundreds of wounded, the relatives, the medics from 13 are no more. I turn back to Boggs. See the swelling on his face left by Gale's boot. I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure his nose is broken. His voice is more resigned than angry, though. Back to the landing strip. I obediently take a step forward and wince as I become aware of the pain behind my right knee. The adrenaline rush that overrode the sensation has passed, and my body parts join in a chorus of complaints. I'm banged up and bloody, and someone seems to be hammering on my left temple from inside my skull. Boggs quickly examines my face, then scoops me up and jogs for the runway. Halfway there, I puke on his bulletproof vest. It's hard to tell because he's short of breath, but I think he sighs. A small hovercraft, different from the one that transported us here, waits on the runway. The second my team's on board, we take off. No comfy seats and windows this time. We seem to be in some sort of cargo craft. Boggs does emergency first aid on people to hold them until we get back to 13. I want to take off my vest, since I got a fair amount of vomit on it as well, but it's too cold to think about it. I lie on the floor with my head in Gale's lap. The last thing I remember is Boggs spreading a couple of burlap sacks over me. When I wake up, I'm warm and patched up in my old bed in the hospital. My mother's there, checking my vital signs. How do you feel? A little beat up, but all right, I say. No one even told us you were going until you were gone, she says. I feel a pang of guilt. When your families had to send you off twice to the Hunger Games, this isn't the kind of detail you should overlook. I'm sorry, they weren't expecting the attack. I was just supposed to be visiting the patients, I explain. Next time, I'll have them clear it with you. Katniss, no one clears anything with me, she says. It's true. Even I don't. Not since my father died. Why pretend? Well, I'll have them notify you anyway. On the bedside table is a piece of shrapnel they removed from my leg. The doctors are more concerned with the damage my brain might have suffered from the explosions, since my concussion hadn't fully healed to begin with. But I don't have double vision or anything, and I can think clearly enough. I've slept right through the late afternoon and night, and I'm starving. My breakfast is disappointingly small.
just a few cubes of bread soaking in warm milk. I've been called down to an early morning meeting at command. I start to get up and then realize they plan to roll my hospital bed directly there. I want to walk, but that's out, so I negotiate my way into a wheelchair. I feel fine, really, except for my head and my leg and the soreness from the bruises and the nausea that hit a couple minutes after I ate. Maybe the wheelchair's a good idea. As they wheel me down, I begin to get uneasy about what I will face. Gale and I directly disobeyed orders yesterday, and Boggs has the injury to prove it. Surely there will be repercussions, but will they go so far as Coin annulling our agreement for the victor's immunity? Have I stripped PETA of what little protection I could give him? When I get to the command, the only ones who've arrived are Cressida, Messala, and the insects. Messala beams and says, "There's our little star!" And the others are smiling so genuinely that I can't help but smile in return. They impressed me and ate, following me onto the roof during the bombing, making Plutarch back off so they could get the footage they wanted. They more than do their work, they take pride in it. Like Cinna. I have a strange thought that if we were in the arena together, I would pick them as allies. Cressida, Messala, and... I have to stop calling you the insects, I blurt out to the cameramen. I explain how I didn't know their names, but their suits suggest the shelled creatures. The comparison doesn't seem to bother them. Even without the camera shells, they strongly resemble each other. Same sandy hair, red beards, and blue eyes. The one with close-bitten nails introduces himself as Castor, and the other, who's his brother, as Pollux. I wait for Pollux to say hello, but he just nods. At first I think he's shy or a man of few words, but something tugs on me. The position of his lips, the extra effort he takes to swallow. And I know before Castor tells me, Pollux is an Avox. They've cut out his tongue and he'll never speak again. And I no longer have to wonder what made him risk everything to help bring down the capital. As the room fills, I brace myself for a less congenial reception, but the only people who register any kind of negativity are Haymitch, who's always out of sorts, and a sour-faced Fulvia Cardew. Boggs wears a flesh-colored plastic mask from his upper lip to his brow. I was right about the broken nose, so his expression's hard to read. Coin and Gale are in the midst of some exchange that seems positively chummy. When Gale slides into the seat next to my wheelchair, I say, "Making new friends?" His eyes flicker to the president and back. "Well, one of us has to be accessible." He touches my temple gently. "How do you feel?" They must have served stewed garlic and squash for breakfast vegetable. The more people who gather, the stronger the fumes are. My stomach turns, and the lights suddenly seem too bright. "Kind of rocky," I say. "How are you?" "Fine. They dug out a couple of pieces of shrapnel. No big deal," he says. Coin calls the meeting to order. Our airtime assault has officially launched. For any of you who missed yesterday's 2000 broadcast of our first Propo, or the 17 reruns BD has managed to air since, we will begin by replaying it. Replaying it? So they not only got usable footage, they've already slapped together a Propo and aired it repeatedly. My palms grow moist in anticipation of seeing myself on television. What if I'm still awful? What if I'm as stiff and pointless as I was in the studio and they've just given up on getting any better? Individual screens slide up from the table, the lights dim slightly, and a hush falls over the room. At first my screen is black. Then a tiny spark flickers in the center. It blossoms, spreads, silently eating up the blackness until the entire frame is ablaze with a fire so real and intense, I imagine I feel the heat emanating from it. The image of my Mockingjay pin emerges, glowing red gold. The deep, resonant voice that haunts my dreams begins to speak. Claudius Templesmith, The official announcer of the Hunger Games says, Katniss Everdeen, the girl who was on fire, burns on. Suddenly, there I am, replacing the Mockingjay, standing before the real flames and smoke of District 8. I want to tell the rebels that I am alive, that I'm right here in District 8, where the Capitol has just bombed a hospital full of unarmed men, women, and children. There will be no survivors. Cut to the hospital collapsing in on itself. The desperation of the onlookers as I continue in voiceover. I want to tell people that if you think for 1 second the Capitol will treat us fairly if there is a ceasefire, you're deluding yourself, because you know who they are and what they do. Back to me now, my hands lifting up to indicate the outrage around me. This is what they do, and we must fight back. Now comes a truly fantastic montage of the battle. The initial bombs falling, us running, being blown to the ground, close-up of my wound, which looks good and bloody, scaling the roof, diving into the nests, and then some amazing shots of the rebels, Gale, and mostly me, knocking those planes out of the sky. Smash cut back to me moving in on the camera. President Snow says he's sending us a message. Well, I have one for him. You can torture us and bomb us and burn our districts to the ground. But do you see that? We're with the camera, tracking to the planes burning on the roof of the warehouse, tight on the Capitol seal on a wing, which melts back into the image of my face, shouting at the president. Fire is catching, and if we burn, you burn with us. Flames engulf the screen again. Superimposed on them in black, solid letters are the words, if we burn, you burn with us. The words catch fire, and the whole screen burns to blackness. There's a moment of silent relish, then applause, followed by demands to see it again. Coin indulgently hits the replay button, and this time, since I know what will happen, I try to pretend that I'm watching this on my television at home in the seam. An anti-capital statement. There's never been anything like it on television. Not in my lifetime, anyway. By the time the screen burns to black a second time, I need to know more. Did it play all over Panem? Did they see it in the Capitol? Not in the Capitol, says Plutarch. We couldn't override their system, although Beatty is working on it, but in all the districts. We even got it on 2, which may be more valuable than the Capitol at this point in the game. Is Claudius Templesmith with us? I ask. This gives Plutarch a good laugh. Only his voice, but that's ours for the taking. We didn't even have to do any special editing. He said that actual line in your first games. He slaps his hand on the table. What say we give another round of applause to Cressida, her amazing team, and of course our on-camera talent? I clap too until I realize I'm the on-camera talent, and maybe it's obnoxious that I'm applauding for myself, but no one's paying attention. I can't help noticing the strain on Fulvia's face, though. I think how hard this must be for her, watching Haymitch's idea succeed under Cressida's direction when Fulvia's Studia approach was such a flop. Coin seems to have reached the end of her tolerance for self-congratulation. Yes, well deserved. The result is more than we had hoped for. But I do have to question the wide margin of risk that you were willing to operate within. I know the raid was unforeseen. However, given the circumstances, I think we should discuss the decision to send Katniss into actual combat. The decision? To send me into combat? Then she doesn't know that I flagrantly disregard orders, ripped out my earpiece, and gave my bodyguards the slip? What else have they kept from her? It was a tough call, says Plutarch, furrowing his brow. But the general consensus was that we weren't going to get anything worth using if we locked her in a bunker somewhere every time a gun went off. And you're all right with that? Asks the president. Gail has to kick me under the table before I realize that she's talking to me. Oh, yeah, I'm completely alright with that. It felt good. Doing something for a change. Well, let's just be a little more judicious with her exposure, especially now that the Capitol knows what she can do, says Coin. There's a rumble of assent from around the table. No one has ratted out Gale and me. Not Plutarch, whose authority we ignored. Not Boggs with his broken nose. Not the insects we led into fire. Not Haymitch. No, wait. Haymitch is giving me a deadly smile and saying sweetly, "Yeah, we wouldn't want to lose our little Mockingjay when she's finally begun to sing." I make a note to myself to not end up alone in a room with him because he's clearly having vengeful thoughts over that stupid earpiece. "So, what else do you have planned?" asks the president. Plutarch nods to Cressida, who consults a clipboard. "We have some terrific footage of Katniss at the hospital in 8. There should be another propo in that, with the theme because you know who they are and what they do. We'll focus on Katniss interacting with the patients, particularly the children, the bombing of the hospital, and the wreckage. Messila's cutting that together. We're also thinking about a Mockingjay piece, highlighting some of Katniss's best moments intercut with scenes of rebel uprisings and war footage. We call that one Fire is Catching." And then Fulvia came up with a really brilliant idea. Fulvia's mouthful of sour grapes expression is startled right off her face, but she recovers. "Well, I don't know how brilliant it is, but I was thinking we could do a series of propos called We Remember. In each one, we would feature one of the dead tributes, Little Rue from 11 or Old Mags from 4. The idea being that we could target each district with a very personal piece." "A tribute to your tributes, as it were," says Plutarch. "That is brilliant, Fulvia," I say sincerely. "It's the perfect way to remind people why they're fighting." "I think it could work," she says. "I thought we might use Finnick to intro and narrate the spots, if there was interest in them." "Frankly, I don't see how we could have too many We Remember propos," says Coin. "Can you start producing them today?" "Of course," says Fulvia, obviously mollified by the response to her idea. Cressida has smoothed everything over in the creative department with her gesture, praised Fulvia for what is, in fact, a really good idea, and cleared the way to continue her own on-air depiction of the Mockingjay. What's interesting is that Plutarch seems to have no need to share in the credit. All he wants is for the airtime assault to work. I remember that Plutarch is a head game maker, not a member of the crew, not a piece in the games. Therefore, his worth is not defined by a single element, but by the overall success of the production. If we win the war, that's when Plutarch will take his bow and expect his reward. The president sends everyone off to get to work, so Gale wheels me back to the hospital. We laugh a little about the cover-up. Gale says no one wanted to look bad by admitting they couldn't control us. I'm kinder, saying they probably didn't want to jeopardize the chance of taking us out again now that they've gotten some decent footage. Both things are probably true. Gale has to go meet Beatty down in Special Weaponry, so I doze off. It seems like I've only shut my eyes for a few minutes, but when I open them, I flinch at the sight of Haymitch sitting a couple of feet from my bed. Waiting. Possibly for several hours if the clock is right. I think about hollering for a witness, but I'm going to have to face him sooner or later. Haymitch leans forward and dangles something on a thin white wire in front of my nose. It's hard to focus on, but I'm pretty sure what it is. He drops it to the sheets. "That is your earpiece. I will give you exactly one more chance to wear it. If you remove it from your ear again, I'll have you fitted with this." He holds up some sort of metal headgear that I instantly name the head shackle. "It's an alternative audio unit that locks around your skull and under your chin until it's opened with a key, and I'll have the only key. If for some reason you're clever enough to disable it, Haymitch dumps the head shackle on the bed and whips out a tiny silver chip. I'll authorize them to surgically implant this transmitter into your ear so that I may speak to you 24 hours a day. Haymitch in my head full time. Horrifying. I'll keep the earpiece in, I mutter. Excuse me? He says. I'll keep the earpiece in, I say, loud enough to wake up half the hospital. You sure? Because I'm equally happy with any of the three options, he tells me. I'm sure, I say. I scrunch up the earpiece wire protectively in my fist and fling the head shackle back in his face with my free hand, but he catches it easily. Probably was expecting me to throw it. Anything else? Haymitch rises to go. While I was waiting, I ate your lunch. My eyes take in the empty stew bowl and tray on my bed table. I'm gonna report you, I mumble into my pillow. You do that, sweetheart. He goes out, safe in the knowledge that I'm not the reporting kind. I want to go back to sleep, but I'm restless. Images from yesterday begin to flood into the present. The bombing, the fiery plane crashes, the faces of the wounded who no longer exist. I imagine death from all sides. The last moment before seeing a shell hit the ground, feeling the wing blown from my plane and the dizzying nosedive into oblivion. The warehouse roof falling down at me while I'm pinning helplessly to my cot. Things I saw in person or on the tape. Things I caused with a pull of my bowstring. Things I will never be able to erase from my memory. At dinner, Finnick brings his tray up to my bed so we can watch the newest Propo together on television. He was assigned quarters on my old floor, but he has so many mental relapses he still basically lives in the hospital. The rebels air the "because you know who they are and what they do" Propo that Masala edited. The footage is intercut with short studio clips of Gale, Boggs, and Cressida describing the incident. It's hard to watch my reception in the hospital in 8 since I know it's coming. When the bombs rain down on the roof, I bury my face in my pillow, looking up again at a brief clip of me at the end after all the victims are dead. At least Finnick doesn't applaud or act happy when it's done. He just says, people should know that happened, and now they do. Let's turn it off, Finnick, before they run it again, I urge him. But as Finnick's hands move toward the remote control, I cry, Wait! The Capitol is introducing a special segment, and something about it looks familiar. Yes, it's Caesar Flickerman, and I can guess who his guest will be. Peeta's physical transformation shocks me. The healthy, clear-eyed boy I saw a few days ago has lost at least 15 pounds and has developed a nervous tremor in his hands. They've still got him groomed. But underneath the paint that cannot cover the bags under his eyes, and the fine clothes that cannot conceal the pain he feels when he moves, is a person badly damaged. My mind reels, trying to make sense of it. I just saw him 5 days ago. How has he deteriorated so rapidly? What could they have possibly done to him in such a short time? And then it hits me. I replay in my mind as much as I can of his first interview with Caesar, searching for anything that would place it in time. There's nothing. They could have taped that interview a day or two after I blew up the arena, then done whatever they wanted to him ever since. Oh, Peeta, I whisper. Caesar and Peeta have a few empty exchanges before Caesar asks him about rumors that I'm taping propos for the districts. They're using her, obviously, says Peeta, to whip up the rebels. I doubt she even really knows what's going on in the war, what's at stake. Is there anything you'd like to tell her? asks Caesar. There is, says Peeta. He looks directly into the camera, right into my eyes. Don't be a fool, Katniss. Think for yourself. They've turned you into a weapon that could be instrumental in the destruction of humanity. If you've got any real influence, use it to put the brakes on this thing. Use it to stop the war before it's too late. Ask yourself, do you really trust people you're working with? Do you really know what's going on? And if you don't, find out. Black screen. Seal of Panem. Show over. Finnick presses the button on the remote that kills the power. In a minute, people will be here to do damage control on Peeta's condition and the words that came out of his mouth. I'll need to repudiate them. Repudiate them? Okay. Another word I don't know. Hold up. Come on. Come on, little mouse. Repudiate? Repudiate. Refuse to accept or be associated with. Okay. I will need to repudiate them. But the truth is, I don't trust the rebels, or Plutarch, or Coin. I'm not confident that they will tell me the truth. I won't be able to conceal this. Footsteps are approaching. Finnick grips me hard by the arms. We didn't see it. What? I ask. We didn't see Peeta. Only the propos on 8. Then we turned the set off because the images upset you. Got it? He asks. I nod. Finish your dinner. I pull myself together enough so that when Plutarch and Fulvia enter, I have a mouthful of bread and cabbage. Finnick is talking about how well Gale came across on camera. We congratulate them on the propo, making it clear it was so powerful we tuned out right afterwards. They look relieved. They believe us. No one mentions Peeta. That is the end of our reading for today. We've already read so much of the book. Wow. Sigh. Why are you sighing? I mean, it is good. It's so good. W. Finnick for thinking about that and lying about seeing Peeta. It's so good. Res is spotted in the background. You are correct if you're still in here. Yes, I have 2 res, but one's above the other one, so you can only see the one. Yeah, I love Res. She's great. Welcome in, Furnable. Alright. That completes the reading for today. So let's see what's up in some other channels. Yes, of course. I was so sleepy. I'm glad I got up in time. Ooh, this looks fun. Okay. Let's go here. All right. Everybody, I will be back tomorrow with some new streaming things. I will be sewing and gaming, per usual on Mondays. Okay.
Okay, bye.
you